Welcome to the Violin Studio. Come on in. So this is the studio that I teach violin in every day. It is part of the large ITE building that ITE has been a part of for a very long time. This particular room was actually the room that Jan Butler taught in for many, many years. So I love being part of that history in this space. My partner and I refreshed the space in the fall of 2022. We spackled the walls, repainted it, added new fixtures, and exposed the wood, did a little bit of recovery and treatment on the hardwood floors, and then added some of my own things. So let me take you through. We do have this upright piano in the room. I don't play it that much, honestly, but it is something in the future that I would love to do more. Not necessarily me playing with students, but being able to have piano accompanists come in and accompany my students during their lessons. Back behind me I have our library. This is a combination of my music and books as well as Sandy Rooning's books. And he has, quite a few of these ones down here. I have a collection of my archive of journals where I've taken teaching notes in for the past decade. And eventually I will also put up my archive of footage from all of my lessons. Okay, coming over here, this is my teaching space. So I usually sit right in this chair. This chair was recommended to me by my friend Sarah Cummings when I was experiencing a lot of back pain. It's called a QOR 360, and it swivels while I teach. I also love that I can change the height for very tall students. I can be sitting up here, and then for my little twinklers, I can go down quite low and turn in any direction. So even if I wasn't experiencing back pain, I would still enjoy teaching out of this chair. My violin is right next to me, usually open, sitting in its own case. And I have all of my accessories and tools that I need right at my side. In this drawer, I keep a lot of shoulder rests and chin rests that I can try out with students. In this one, rubber bands and post-it notes and batteries and all of that. Up here I have all of my more post-it notes, stickers, tape, which I use a lot in the lesson, a ruler which I use for measuring bows, instruments, and also applying tapes, practice charts, pre-twinkle phases, and our little review charts. Up here I have any tools that I would want to use in the lesson, deck of cards, etc., all my little coins, little manipulatives, balancers, and of course always the dice. In my studio I use a lot of popsicle sticks to indicate that we're moving from polishing a piece to putting it in the review pile. So I'll mark those down. Scissors for taping. By the way, these are quilting scissors and they're super sharp and small. I love them a lot. Bread tongs, which I use for Kathy Lee style bow development. And it's always really nice to be able to pull in colors and give the student a moment to draw or make something more artistic. So I have that up here, and then all of my bow tapes, and of course the very, very essential nail clippers, as my nails are like disgusting. The very essential nail clippers. I keep this one here. This was kind of cool. It's a old Mancala board that I got at a reuse center. The nice thing about it, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections in it. So it's a really cool way to demonstrate scales going up and down. You can do it on both sides, and you can do like scale degrees on the bottom and note names on the top. And then you can also make like sharps and flats and add them in. That's a fun manipulative, and also count the distance between intervals. Up here I have all my Suzuki books, step-by-step books, Mozart Concerti, and reading exercise books. And then up above, this is more of my personal library. There's a very, very wide assortment of books up there that I love and cherish. This is the speaker that I use in lessons. Eventually I would really love to upgrade to a more thorough sound system to really show my students the the depth of sound that's available to them, but this works for now. And since they play in about this zone, they can hear pretty well and I can hear pretty well. Connects via Bluetooth, so I can always just have my phone or even my iPod Touch loaded up with the tracks that we use in the lesson. And then Abacus, which you've probably seen me use before in many lessons. One stand for the student here, and then another stand over here, which is usually the one that I write on. Okay, and then moving over probably to the last important area, this is where I do all of my personal work from. This is my desk. It is a standing desk, so it goes to 3 levels. So this is my desk where I do all of my personal work. I've taught in so many different situations. I taught in practice rooms, I've taught in churches, I've taught in schools, where I was just lugging around a bag of teaching tricks. It is such a luxury to have a permanent space to teach in, and even more so to have a permanent space to work in as well. So it's really easy for me to separate my home life from my working life because I just do my work at this desk. Usually I have my camera that's recording this up here on up on the tripod, and it just records our lessons, every single lesson. I do actually try to record as many lessons as I possibly can, just to have a thorough archive of my teaching every year, and so I can go back and study the relationships between past lessons and present day, and then potentially what could happen in the future. All of I have space for that because I have this LACAE, I don't know how it's pronounced, hard drive right here that holds like 5 terabytes of storage. I also have a card reader here that reads all my SD cards. Both of these are hooked into my Mac Mini, which is stored underneath the desk. And then this comes up to a Samsung monitor. When I do Zoom lessons, I use this Logitech camera on top. I have tried recording lessons on this directly to the computer, but I don't find it's as good a quality as just doing it directly on the camera that you're watching on. This is the Mac Space Gray keyboard and a Logitech MX Master 3 for the Mac. I seriously love this mouse. It's been amazing for editing and working, and is so much better than just a laptop. And then just a light behind. So this is where all the magic happens. This is where all the editing happens. And I like that it's a relatively small profile, so I don't think the students really notice it too much when we're in our lessons. I will say that that's one other advantage of having a camera constantly set up and recording as often as possible, is it becomes very normal for the students. I have tried before in the past pulling out the camera just to record a lesson that I want to capture, and it distracts us from the work that we're doing. So having something set up and stable, I know is a luxury, but I love it. Oh, let me show you here. So we have an air purifier going pretty constantly. Whenever the weather's good, I love opening up the windows and having the space more open. But this keeps us purified during the winter. And back behind here, I think this is just a nice gesture. This is where the parents normally sit, and I have a whole bank of just reused paper that I've cut up that parents can use, as well as pencils, pens, and a pencil sharpener. This is something if little siblings come in and they want to play and color, they can. But also for parents, if they forget their notepad or if they forget a pen, I'm like, oh, no problem, I have something right behind here for you to use. Also in here I put the business card of the local violin shop that we use, so they can take that with them if they want as well. I guess the only other thing to note is that I have a little display bookcase here back in the back, and I have, you can see Nurtured by Love and an academic magazine, Teaching from the Balance Point, and a new book that I'm loving by Rick Rubin. And one nice thing about having that display out there is that parents have actually taken note and started flipping through the books if I have to step out to get water or something like that. And they've actually decided to take books home with them that I've put up there. So I think it's a great way to literature on parents' radar, give them a chance to touch it and feel it, and then maybe they end up going home with it because they like it. I've thought about putting a smaller shelf on the bottom for children's books, but I don't want it to be a distraction, so that might be something coming up soon. I've talked a lot before about how a 30-minute lesson is only 1/336th of your child's week, and there's only so much we can say in that time, so the more potent the environment of the lesson can be, the more it communicates and conveys to them. So that's why I took it so seriously to repaint, refurnish, and decorate this space in a very particular, hopefully calming and soothing way. And I try to keep it as clean and consistent as possible so that when students do come in, that they aren't overwhelmed by the space, but they know what to expect. They feel at home here, and hopefully it represents our studio core values as well. All right, hope you've enjoyed this studio tour. Come back soon.